Okay, so in making a insert for this game, Bang the Dice game, and I've made some others, but I haven't put any on YouTube, and so I thought I'd start with something really small. And so here is Bang, and so some of my cards are sleeved, some are not. And so the first thing I would do would be to measure the box dimensions. I've got these calipers, but a lot of times they're not quite large enough. And so what I would do is use a tape measure. It has millimeters. And so we would first measure this. And so that length is, let's see, it is 182 millimeters. Okay, so I write these things down, and I've already done this, so I've already written it down. So it's 182 millimeters. And so I'd get my width, which is 130 millimeters wide. And honestly, I think it's a little short. Yeah. So 129. So I usually err a little on the smaller side. So I might go 128 millimeters on that measurement. And so then the next thing I do would be measure the different components. So I would measure the cards. Let me zero that out. And so the cards are, let's see, kind of a weird angle here with the camera. 66 is what we've got there. And then we've got 93. I think I went to 94 though. And then I'll get the other dimension here, which is 13 or so. So 12.6, I think I went to 13. But anyway, so and so I've got those measurements. And then what I'll do is kind of figure out the orientation I want the components in the box. So I put the cards like that. And I want the dice down here. And I know I want to create a little more space if I were to buy the expansion for this game. And so these components might be over here. Okay. The other tokens, let's see. And you have to just kind of get an approximation of how you might want these to fit in the box. There's some trial and error for sure when you're doing something like this. I created one for Raiders of Scythia, and when I made it, I almost had it exact, but it wasn't, and so I ended up having to modify it and change some things. And so the components might fit something like this. And so what I'll do, I measure the cards, measure the box. And so what I'll also do is measure, I might have an insert right here with maybe 3 different pieces. And then I would measure the dice. And I would write all that down. And then I would put all this into Fusion 360, which would be the next step, is create a physical box in Fusion 360 as well as these components so that I can create an insert. And then from there, from Fusion 360, put it into Lightburn, which then would allow me to laser cut the insert. And so we'll do that.
Okay, so I'm going to make a insert for Bang the Dice game, and I'm using Fusion 360. There's a free version available. And so the very first thing I'm going to do is select Create Sketch. And then you have these different planes you can select, so it doesn't really matter. Select that one. It's the top plane looking down. I'm going to create a rectangle. You can just start anywhere. And I've already measured my box dimensions. And so it's 182. And then I hit Tab to go to the next selection, 128 millimeters. Hit Enter. So this is the bottom of my box. And I'm going to hit Finish Sketch. and then we'll extrude the sketch, which this is what makes it three-dimensional. I know that my box material is 3 millimeters wide, so I'll hit 3 millimeters. And if you come over here and select new component, that's what we want to do. Hit OK. And so now you can see, if I go over here and hit home, there's the bottom of my box. Now to create a side of the box, and the way I'm moving this around is hitting Shift and you're pushing your mouse wheel, and it allows you to move the camera view. So now create sketch. So we're going to create it on this plane. And now I'm going to create another rectangle. And we're just going to start it on this corner. I don't care about the, all I care about is the inside box dimensions. And so I know my box is 182, and then hit tab, and the walls are 30 millimeters tall on the box. So I'll hit enter. Now we'll extrude that. So click extrude, and select our, oh wait, sorry, not extrude. You're going to escape to get out of that. We have to finish the sketch. So finish sketch, then extrude. Select our face to extrude. And so again, we'll come over here and click new body, and 3 millimeters. Okay. And hit enter. So there. And I realize it doesn't go all the way to the bottom, but I don't care. I'm just looking at the inside dimension. Okay. And see, so we forgot to select a new body or new component, but that's okay because we can go over here. Every time you make something, you create a sketch and a body. And so you can kind of scroll over that, and what we'll do is right click, create component, and now we have those. So let's rename these. So component 1 we'll rename to box bottom. Okay. Component 2 we'll rename to box side. Enter. Okay. And so now we want to make another side. An easier way to do this is we'll right click our component and you go to move. You can also just hit the hotkey M for move, which is a lot easier. So you move, and now we don't want to select a face. We want to select a component, which is what we created. So we'll select this component and now create copy, and we'll just simply slide this to the other side. Hit enter. All right, and you can see that it created another component for us. All right, so we got 3 components there. Now we're going to create another, like the back of the box. Create sketch, and we'll create it off of this plane here, and a rectangle. And again, I only care about the inside dimensions of it. Right? So there we go. And now finish sketch and extrude. So click this, and I kind of like looking at it from a 3-dimensional view. And again, we're going to select new component and 3 millimeters, 3 millimeters, and enter. And we'll rename that component box back. Okay, so we got all that squared away. It's easier to, in making these, I found it's just easier to deal with components rather than bodies when moving things around. Now, I'm not going to create another box side because we're going to use this as a reference in sliding our components in and out. It's just a little easier, I thought. You can create another side if you'd like. So the next thing I'm going to create is the deck box that will go in here to hold the cards. Okay, now we're going to create the deck box. So one thing I like to do is create the size of the cards. And so what I'll do, create a sketch. We'll do it on this plane here. And I'm going to create a rectangle, and I've already measured out the cards. And so the size of the cards are 94, and these are sleeved by 67. Okay. And I'll hit enter. All right. And now we will finish the sketch and extrude the cards to the correct size. So I know that the cards are roughly 15 millimeters. All right. And again, I forgot to do to create a component. So let's go over here to this body and create a component. And so here's our component. We'll rename that cards. Okay. So that's the size of the cards. Now we're going to create a deck box around these cards. So what we can do is let's go to the underside of the cards. All right, so we're looking at it from underneath. We're going to create a sketch underneath here. All right. And now I'm just estimating the size. I know I've got plenty of room in the box. If it was tighter, I'd have to really measure it. So let's just go there. So we got plenty of room for our deck of cards. You know what? Let's make it a little bigger. I know. Okay, that looks pretty good. All right, so this is the bottom of our deck of cards. Now what we're going to do is this is going to be finger jointed because we're going to cut it on a laser cutter. So what we're going to do is create finger joints. So go to a corner. This is our first finger joint. It needs to be 3 millimeters because that's the width of our material. Tab. And for this finger, let's just make it 10 millimeters. It's kind of your choice. Then what we can do is go to create rectangular pattern. And we're going to select all 3 faces here. You don't have to hit shift or anything. Okay. Now we're going to drag it down. Oh, I missed one of my faces. Watch this. There we go. Look at that, it added it. Okay, and we're going to drag this down to here. And we want it to go to the end. The more you scroll in, the more accurate you can be. Now we want 4 finger joints. And enter. So you can see we have our 4 finger joints. Now what we can do is we can do the same thing to the other side, but there's a little shortcut. And so if you select the line tool, and we'll find the midpoint. You know the midpoint because see the triangle pop up? That's the midpoint. And this is a reference line, okay, is what it is. And then, so you have to hit escape to kind of get out of that. And we're going to put another reference line here. See the triangle? We know that's the middle. Reference line. That is angled. So Control Z, line tool. There we go. Now what we can do is click mirror. We're going to select, oh, I don't like that select tool. Let's go to the Windows selection. Okay. And we're going to select all of these. And it still didn't get everything. That's okay. You can go one by one. Not a big deal. I am not an expert at Fusion 360 by any means, and I'm sure there's easier ways to do all of this. So, okay, so we've got the selection. Now we click mirror line, and we mirror this line, and pow, they just pop up on the other side, and click enter. So there we go. Now we do the same thing to the other side. Finger joint. So let's do 10 millimeters that way again. Tab, 3 millimeters, enter. Rectangular pattern. Select all 3 faces. And then we will drag it out that way. And we want 4 tabs. Enter. And then we're going to do the same mirror trick for the other side. So click mirror. Can never get it to select everything. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. It's okay. Okay. There we go. Mirror line, select, and we'll mirror across this line. There they are, and enter. So now what we can do is finish this whole sketch out. So we'll click Finish Sketch, and now we're going to extrude. So we're going to make that whole piece 3-dimensional, and you have to click everything. For whatever reason, these lines kind of separated out. That's okay. And then click your tabs. Okay. And now I'm going to kind of look at it from a 3-dimensional aspect. Now, our material width is 3 millimeters, because that's the wood I'm using. The wood is 3 millimeters wide. And so what we want to do is, again, create a new component. So that's new component, enter, and let's kind of look at it. Let's go home, and you can see where the box bottom, the bottom of our card holder looks like. We're going to rename that. Card insert bottom. Okay. And now we're going to create the sides for it. And the way we'll do that is, let's bring it over here and create sketch. And we're going to create it on this back part. Okay. On the side. And rectangle. And we'll go all the way here. Let's minimize that. We can see a little better. And so the height, well, the width's going to be all the way down here. Okay. 110. We're going to tab, and the height, the inside diameter or the inside height of the box is 30 millimeters. You know, we could go, let's say 25 millimeters high. And then if I buy one of the expansions or whatever, it's got enough room for more cards. So we'll hit enter. And then we'll do, you can kind of see this, and we'll extrude this, finish this sketch, extrude. So click this, and we'll do new component. It's going to be 3 millimeters. Just like that. Okay. Now, for whatever reason, you can kind of see sometimes this happens where it didn't extrude correctly. And that's okay, because what we can do is extrude, and we'll select that face and just pull it down. And you can see over here, it's got operation join, and so it will join these two. So there we go. Okay, now an interesting thing to note is that if I move this, so I'll just click in to move and select this. If I move it out, you notice our finger joints are not cut. Hit Control Z to bring it back. And so to cut these out, what I can do is select Combine. I'll select the face here. And then the tool body, I'll select the bottom. Now, the operation has to be on cut. If it's on join, it'll join the two together. Cut, though, will cut these out. And you want to keep the tool body. So I'll hit OK. And now let's click in for move. Having all kinds of trouble here. There we go. So see, our finger joints are cut out. Now we can just put this where we need it. Okay. Looks like we cut a little on that side. That's okay. All right, so now what we can do is copy this to over here, just like we did on the other part. So push in and select component. No, wrong component. Okay, and we're going to create a copy. And we'll move our copy right over here. There we go. Hit enter. You can see it made our, we're going to rename these to card side. But let's say card back, because that's really the back. Name card front. You can name them whatever you want. Okay. Okay, now what we have to do is create sides to this. So create sketch. Create it on this face right here. And so rectangle, and it's got to go all the way through to this edge here. Okay. And then what we'll do, actually no, let me scratch that. Actually, is to go from this edge. Make sure, let me look at it. Yep, that's correct. To this edge right here. Okay, we'll hit enter. And now we're going to create finger joints on this side. So again, 3 millimeters, tab, and we'll do these, how about 8? It's a little large. Let's do 5. Enter. And create rectangle pattern. 1, 2, 3. Slide these down to there. And we'll keep it at 3. Oh, wait, I went too far. It's kind of hard to see. 1, 2, 3. That looks correct. Enter. Now we'll do our mirror trick. Our line here. Escape to get out. Mirror. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. And select your mirror line, just here. And okay, and look, there they are. Now, we'll look at this from this angle. And so we need to extrude this outward. And so finish sketch, extrude, and we'll click all of the faces that are going to be extruded. Okay, and 3 millimeters, and selected cut. We don't want that. We want a new component. And click OK. Here we are. So again, we had a face not really behave. So what we can do is click E, and extrude this down, and we want join, and hit OK. Okay, so now we have to make these cuts. So I moved my deck box out of there. Just use the move function. So we'll click this one, and this one, hit OK. Now for the other side, this one, hit OK. And I can't remember if I did the bottom or not, but the bottom one, this one, OK. Now let's make sure we did our cuts. And let's move it out. And look at that, perfect. Awesome. Control Z to go back. Now what I can do is we're going to move this over here. Now also let's rename that component so we know what it is. Card back. Or we'll just say card side. Got my names all mixed up. That's okay. Because you can always scroll over them and see that really wasn't the front. Those were the sides, but that's okay. So now what we'll do is create copy. I'm going to move this across. And it's not squaring up, but if you scroll in, like I said, the more you scroll in, the more accurate your moves become. There we go. Now we have to make these cuts. So there, and there. Okay. Again, there. Okay. Here, bottom, side. Okay. I always like to check it. So let's move that, and look at that. All of our cuts are made. Looks like something's a little funky over here. Oh, that's definitely funky. Let's get in the right orientation here. So there. I don't know why we got this little hanger on, but what I can do is extrude. So we'll click that. Now I'll go the opposite way. That'll cut it out. That's gone. Okay. And then what I'll do, I see they've all got that. Well, what we can do. And so see this box here? I can get this out of the way. It's getting kind of be a pain. So I can click these little eyeballs and it will get rid of that. That's why it's so handy to label these. And so let's get rid of this. So we'll E for extrude, all of that, and we can go back to cut it. And so let's just go like 0.1. And so what I can do is two sides, click that side, and let's just go 0.1. So I don't eat into my finger joints. There we go. And because that was a copy, did it on both sides. Now let's put this back in place. So we'll go down. And does that look like that's in place? And there's our card box. Now let's make us a little cut somewhere where we can get our cards out. So what I'll do is create a sketch. There. Yeah, there was a much easier way to do this. But again, that's okay because I'm learning this and, guess you're learning it with me. So finish sketch. There we go. Now we'll extrude. Extrude. Cut back. Really just 3 is all we need, but that did it. Okay. So that did what I needed it to do. And now we have a card box that, that's fine. I think that'll work fine. If it doesn't, we can modify it. Because it's attached here and it's attached down there. And we'll see if we can move it into our game box. So let's move our, let's see, you got everything here? Yeah. So let's move this back down. And move it back down. We're good. So there's our cards in our box. Okay, let's make our, interesting, because this is a copy of that. It cut in the back there too. That's okay. So now we will make our box visible again. And let's rotate this around. And that's a little lower than the level of the box. That's okay. So now we're going to move. And components. We're going to select all that. So you can hit Shift. And this is when dealing with components is a lot easier. Okay. Actually, that needs to be 3. And then we're going to slide it in. And one thing I want to do is rotate it. Okay. So I want it to fit in this way. Let's look at it from the top. And we're going to move it all the way this way. And move it that way. Look at that. Okay, so next I'm going to create the token tray. And it's going to go right here. Okay, I've measured all my tokens. I'm not going to actually create the tokens physically in Fusion 360. Sometimes I feel like the need to do that. Sometimes I don't. So what we're going to do is create a sketch. And I'm going to actually create it right here in the box itself. Why not? Let's capture that position. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is start with the rectangle, of course. And I know that I need at least 65 millimeters width. So I'm going to go really close to this one. get as much space as I can. And so we're going to go 65, tab, and let's bring it down here as close as we can also to the other side. Okay. Well, right there. So we know it's okay. We're in the confines of our box. Let's kind of just make this an even. How about an even number? I wonder if we can get away with 126. Let's see if we can. Go look at our edge. It is literally right on the edge. But I do believe we have a little bit of play over here. We do, so that's fine. All right. So this is going to be our token box. And then this is going to be the bottom. And so let me see here. What we're going to do is do this a little different than the deck box. You know, on the bottom here, we made all the tabs, right? Well, we're going to do it a little different here because we want this exact measurement. So we're going to finish that sketch and extrude. We're going to have to go up, and let's just look at it a little three-dimensional, and 3 millimeters up. And we don't want to join. If we do that, it'll make it part of the rest of the box. So we want a new component. Hit OK. And let's name that component token bottom. Okay. Let's do this. Okay. Now, what I can do here is, to give us a little cleaner look, is we can get rid of all these other views of everything. Okay. And that way, we just have this. And so now what we're going to do is create another sketch, and we're going to create our sides and our dividers. So create a sketch, do it on this side, and we're going to create another rectangle. Do this different. We're going to start here because our tabs are going to have to extend downward. And so 126 by, we can still do the 25 here. Yeah. Actually, let's do 24. Okay. There. Now, we're going to create our tabs down here. And let's make them 8 by 3. Okay. And you know what? This is a longer box. Let's make this 10. Okay. Now we're going to create our rectangle pattern. Okay. Get this out of the way. All the way across. And let's stop it at the end. There we go. And let's do 4. That looks good. And so now that has extended down into our base. And so now what we'll do is finish sketch. So we can kind of see how that's going to look. Now we're going to want to extend it inward, right? So extrude there, 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 there. And you see it's going the wrong way. So we need to direction 2 sides. We can select the other side. We need to go 3 millimeters in, and it's wanting to just cut it. We don't want that. We want a new component, and hit OK. Now, the part I have so much trouble with is combining the two. We should be able to just do this, and OK. And I'm paranoid and I always want to check and make sure I made the cut correct. And it did. Okay, good. Now, what we can do is copy this and move it over. So we'll click M for move. Component, yep. Select that. Yep, okay. Control Z. So what I did, I forgot to hit copy. Copy. Move it over. And it's not wanting to go where I want it, so let's zoom it in. There we go. Enter. And then we need to make our cuts here. There. There. Okay. Move. Looks good. Control Z. All right. Good. And so now we need to create our ends. Now when we create the ends, we're going to have to do them to the inside. If you notice, I'm sorry, no, to the outside and push them in. So, create a sketch, rectangle, and again, we have to kind of go to the outside. Sorry, I was correct the first time. To the inside and create our tabs. So here we go. Awesome. Enter. So now we're going to create tabs all the way around. So 3 millimeters by, this is smaller, so let's just stick with the 5. We'll go ahead and create our construction line there, or our reference line, and use a mirror. Oh, no, not mirror, I'm sorry. Rectangle pattern. Getting ahead of myself. Pull this down. And we'll keep it at 3 tabs. Enter. Then mirror. No. Went down too far. I swear I had it right. It's not. Okay. There. Now mirror. And our mirror line. Got it. Okay. Looks good. Now we have to create tabs on the bottom. And 3 by 5. Looks good. Rectangle pattern. All the way across. And we want 4 tabs. Looks good. Now, we'll finish the sketch. I always like moving it to where I can see it better. So we have to push it in. And so we'll extrude. No, I don't want that. I don't want that one selected. That one. Let's extrude this again. I'm not sure what I did, honestly. I extruded way too far is what it looked like. Okay. Now, 3 millimeters. Oh, I know what I did. Did I go the wrong way with it? Probably. 3 millimeters in. New component. Okay. Okay. I see. I think I need to move it in. A little too far. There we go. All right. Now let's make our cuts. Okay, I just want to check it. Make sure it did it correctly. Yes, okay. There. Now let's rename our components. And I forgot to name that one, didn't I? Or did I? Component. Okay, that's it. Okay. Token side to token side 1. Okay. Now we're good. So now we can copy that and move it. And so we want components. Select this. Create copy. And move it across. Looks good. Let's get it in the place we want it though. Okay. Let's make the cuts here. I'm sure there's a more efficient way of doing this for someone who really knows what they're doing. But this seems to work because I've actually made some inserts. Okay, so now what I want to do. Okay, so I've measured this. And what I'm going to do is we're going to create some compartments. And so remove this, create a copy. And we moved that 30. And I need about 25 millimeters for the tokens, the arrow tokens. So that is from that wall to that wall. And so that's a 3 millimeter wall. So that's 27 millimeters. So really it needs to go, let's see. .28 millimeters. And that gives us a 25 millimeter gap there for my arrow tokens. And then I need to move it again, copy, but why don't we just go ahead and cut our holes. Okay. And just want to check it, make sure, yep, it's perfect. Okay, now we're going to move it and create a copy. And let's see, that should be plenty large for my single bullet tokens. And then this would be the area for the large bullet tokens. So let me just see the size there. So we're going to measure from here to say here, 50. Okay, yeah, so I need at least 45 on that. And we'll start that over or reset that. And we're going to measure, let's just measure from there to there. is 42. Yeah, that's plenty of room. Okay, and so now we need to make our cuts here. Okay. Okay, and I'm going to check it. And all that looks good. Okay, so this is my token holder. And so what we can do is we can stick it back in the box to see how it fits. Look at that. Perfect. And so now, so far, we have our card holder. Now we have our token holder. Next, I'm going to create the little insert to hold the dice. All right, so just to show this slight fix, so I'd really like the dice box to be longer. And so the way I'm going to have to do that, number one, is to get rid of some of this other stuff so I can work on it. Okay. All right. Now what I can do is first, we're going to have to move some parts out of the way. This can stay the same, and so I actually should have measured it to see how many millimeters more I wanted to go, but I did not. And so I'm going to have to extend these two pieces. And the way I can do that, let's see, is to extrude this end. So okay. So I got to pay attention to, so let's go 2 more millimeters. Then I got to do the same with this. Same with this. And I'm just hitting E for extrude. Same thing with all of these faces also. And this, extrude. And I can even actually, where's that one? There it is. I can even get rid of that one for a minute. E, extrude. Okay. And it's a little time consuming, but it works. Again, I'm sure there's better ways of doing this. And let's see, did I do all that correctly? Looks right. And so now I can put the end cap back on. Let me pop that back. Let's move. See if it fits fine. Looks like something's a little off there, yeah. I didn't extrude that one quite enough. There we go. Alright, so we just extended the end. Now, let's put it all back in place and see how it fits. That. Ooh, is it too much? Yeah. I think I went a little too far. Look at this from the straight on view. Yeah. Too far. So I'm going to have to go back about 1 millimeter. Oh, dang it. I'm making it all visible. Okay. So we'll just do the opposite of what we just did. And go back about 1 millimeter on everything. And I'll just, I'll fast forward. I'll pause that and do that. Okay, so here's the final insert, and it's ready to go. Okay, so now we got to get it ready for Lightburn. So I got rid of the box part, and now we're going to have to move some pieces out of the way. Actually, not that one, but that one. There we go. So we're going to move that aside. Okay. Then let's move this one. Didn't get it all. There we go. Okay, so then we'll move this one. I think I just grab it all like this. Move it over here. Now, what I have to do is lay these pieces flat. So let's do this one first. So hit M, click this, and now we'll turn it 90 degrees. Enter. I should have done that because it has to be moved
away a bit. Okay. And move M. $90. Move it away. I wish I knew a way to just lay it down completely flat, because it's hard to tell here exactly what's flat. I'm sure there's a way, and I just don't know it. Okay. Move it out and down. Again, I wish I could just hit a key to drop it to the ground. If anyone knows of a way to do that, let me know. And so rotate this 90. Move it out. It's pretty close, but a good way to know for sure is, let's look at it from a level perspective, and obviously they're not level at all. Yeah. So you want them fairly level with each other. Sometimes they don't want to really do that. Okay. This part's a little time consuming. Okay. And so what I'm going to do, I'm going to pause the video and do the other pieces that way. Okay, so you can see I've laid all the pieces flat, and now we can look at it from the top, and we have to do what's called, we have to create a projection. That's what we have to do. So what you do is press P, and you have to select a plane, which I did. So we'll do the card tray first. And so what you can do is click, hit Shift to click every piece. And this is going to create a projection of the card box. And so you have to make sure every little piece is selected, or it will not work. Well, evidently it's selected. So, all right. So specific entities is clicked, and projection link is clicked. Hit OK. And you can see it's highlighted it all in purple. And now what it's done, it's created another sketch. Okay, sketch 17, and we can rename that projection card box. And now what you can do is right click that, save as DXF, and so we'll go to my Lightburn folder and save this as Bang the Dice Game Card Box. Save that. So then do the same thing, hit P. And then we select our geometry, hit Shift, click all the pieces just like before. Okay, hit OK. You can see it's all outlined in purple, and you can see it's sketch 16 because you can scroll over. No, it's not sketch 16. Okay. Okay, so when I saved it, I must have just saved them both together as projection card box, because I highlight that, they both pop up. Okay, so then we have to do the dice tray. So hit P, and hit Shift and select each component and OK. Then you can see it made sketch 18. So we'll rename that as projection dice box. Okay, and we'll save that as a DXF. And we'll go to my Lightburn folder, board game stuff, and bang the dice game dice box. Okay, and now I'm going to look at it and make sure it worked. So I'll pull up Lightburn. We'll open new folder, maybe open. Okay, desktop, Lightburn, board game stuff. We have to do all supported. And so let's go to Bang the Dice Game card box. And there's the card box. So I need to go back and save the other one. And also I need to do a correction here because I'm missing a tab, but that's not a big deal. So we'll go back and correct that. Okay, I fixed that tab issue. And now we need to save the token box. So we will select all the components of the token box, hit OK. It's not creating another sketch. Let's try something else. Okay. Sometimes it gets stuck in that projection mode, I think. So let me do it again. Okay, so here we go. So I have to select a plane. And now it's going to do what I want it to do. So projection. Okay, we have to select our components. Okay, done that. Hit OK. There we go. And there's our sketch for that. And now we'll rename that projection token box. And then we'll save that as a DXF. Go to desktop, Lightburn, board game stuff, bang the dice game token box. I like doing them separately because when I first started doing this, I saved them all together and I had multiple mistakes, and it's just easier to do them in separate folders. Then if I have to make corrections, it just is easier for me to do that. And so then after this portion, we'll go to the Lightburn portion. Okay, so here we are in Lightburn. I am going to open up one of my insert files here. And let's go to Lightburn, board game stuff, and bang the dice game. Okay, so these are all saved as DXF files. And so let's do dice box. Okay, and so I lost my other footage of cutting the whole insert on Lightburn. So I'm just going to repeat it here for the dice box. I had to make some corrections to the dice box, so here's the corrected version. And so what I'm going to do is I've got my speed and power already set. And now what I have to come in here and do is adjust my kerf offset. And this is so it fits together. If it's 0,
If the kerf is 0, it's way too loose. And so you have to adjust this number, and it will vary depending from laser to laser. This 0.127 seemed really way too tight. I was having to use a hammer to put a lot of it together. And so I'm gonna drop that number quite a bit and just see how it fits together. So I'm gonna try 0.110. And we'll see how that works. And so we'll hit OK. And I'll turn my air assist on. And we'll frame it. I have to select all of that. And I'm going to frame that, make sure it fits OK on the wood I have in here. I'm not videoing this part. And then we'll hit start and run it and cut it.
pieces cut out. Now, I had messed up on the dice box. I think when I made my cuts, I wasn't paying attention, so I had to go back and fix that. And so that's the new bottom for the dice box. And so now it's kind of the moment of truth and just trying to put it together. So hopefully So this is the dice box. I'm going to move this out of the way. And let's see. Hopefully my kerf offset is about right. It feels pretty tight. There it goes. Okay. There we go. Let's pop it in now. Okay. Sometimes it helps to have a small hammer just to tap it just a bit. These joints are pretty tight, but that's okay. I could probably adjust my kerf offset slightly. So here's an example of everything fits really well. The only problem is my dice box or the token box or one of these boxes is a little wide, and so my dice tray will just not fit in there perfectly. But the rest of it looks really good. And so what I can do, I can just go back and adjust that so that it will fit, and it's not that difficult to do. And the cool thing about this is that even though this is a smaller game, all the same principles work. It's just on larger games, it's just on a larger scale. So anyway, we'll go back and make that adjustment.
Okay, so here's our dice box. We've got to narrow it down, and I measured it in the box. It's about 3 millimeters too wide. And so I'm going to attempt to narrow it down. So, and again, I'm sure there's an easier way to do this, but this is the way that I know how to do it. So we need to go 3 millimeters, and we don't or actually we do want it to cut. Okay, same thing with this. And so we'll extrude this 3 millimeters. Nope. We're just going to have to do this with all of them. Okay. Okay, so I fixed that. Okay, there we go. 3 millimeters. 3 millimeters. 3 millimeters. Then we'll go with these 3 millimeters. And I'm just hitting E for extrude and backing it off. And so I'm going to do that. Now I have to do it with these also. Because you can see they're not, the end caps aren't going to work either. Let's see if we can do it like this. I think it'll actually work. Or we don't have to do it evenly on both sides. Just one side will be slightly different looking. I'm going to do the middle first. Okay, and one more on this side. Okay, and I'm going to pause it and do the other side. Okay, so I fixed both sides, and so when you put it together, you just have to remember one side is a little thicker than the other. And so then we'll flatten this out and project it and recut our pieces and see how it works. And we'll get back after that. Okay, so this is the final insert, and after fixing the dice tray, it fits really well in there now. And there's room for an expansion if I wanted to do that. And so anyway, if you have any questions, I can try to answer them. Again, I'm pretty new to all this, so good luck on your own insert.